one battle after another. Do I think 96% for this movie? Do I think all the things people were saying about it is that Glaze? Yes, it is. Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show. Why don't they pick someone from the U.S.? Like you, three-tooth cousin fucking have an ass. Puerto Rico is part of the U.S., dumbass. Everybody who's performed that was not a U.S. citizen that you motherfuckers had no issue with. Arturo Sandoval from Cuba. Phil Collins from UK. Enrique Iglesias from Spain. U2 performed. They're from Ireland. Shania Twain. She's from Canada. Paul McCartney, UK. The Rolling Stones. You know where they're from? UK. The Who, UK. MIA. She's from the UK/Sri Lanka. Coldplay, Mark Ronson. The Weeknd, everybody loves The Weeknd, right? He's from Canada, not part of the US. And then 2023, a couple years back, Rihanna, who is from Barbados. Do any of y'all know who Tilly Norwood is? Tilly Norwood is an AI actress. Yep. She's not getting gigs yet. People are mad though. People are upset about this. Should they be? If we went to the moon, if we landed on the moon 50 years ago, why the fuck haven't we been back yet? Welcome to Mic Check. This is episode 1. This is brought to you by the Only brand. Yes, we are evolving. We started out as Only Comics. Only Comics isn't going anywhere. So a lot of you are watching. You are followers and fans of Only Comics. There's a good chunk of you that are probably interns that enjoy other stuff. So there's good news all around. Good news is those two podcasts aren't going anywhere. They will still come at you every single week. But we are, we have a phrase here on Only Comics called AWOB. Another week, another banger. Now we are going to give you 3 bangers a week, I guess. We got Only Comics on Monday. Other stuff is going to be moving to Tuesdays. So y'all will get that a day early. And then every Wednesday, I'll be coming at you directly with a little solo show here called Mic Check. Yes, my name's Mike, and I am going to check in once a week and really just give you my take. No different than what we do on Only Comics, no different than what we do on other stuff, but it will be, it will not be about comics. It will be about whatever bubbles up and hits my radar, I guess. There's a lot of shit going on in the news. If you know me, if you've been on any of the other podcasts, you know that I am pretty unfiltered, so that will remain the same. A lot's going to change, but a lot will not change. So this being episode 1, this thing is going to grow and evolve just like all the other shows. But I wanted to check in this week and talk about a lot of shit that's going on in the news. The government shut down, or I don't know, maybe they are. I'm not going to dig too deep into that. But one thing that's not shutting down is this channel. We're going to keep this thing moving. So Bad Bunny was announced as the Super Bowl halftime performer for next year. So I got a lot of thoughts about that. We're also going back to the moon, or to the moon for the first time, possibly, depending on what you believe. So we're going to dig into what's going on with that. I also checked out that Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Well, he's starring in it. It's not his movie, but One Battle After Another. So I got a review later on today, later in this episode, about that movie. And that's another thing we talk about, or we review comic book movies on Only Comics. And this is where I'm going to have a platform to talk about other movies, because believe it or not, I don't only watch comic stuff, and I know a lot of you watch other things as well, which I've, been hanging out with a handful of you guys on the Friday Lives on TikTok. That's been a lot of fun. So this will be more of that type of stuff. So by all means, subscribe if you haven't already. If you're a new viewer, welcome. Buckle up. Get ready for a fucking ride. If you've been here before, you know what to expect. So I appreciate y'all hopping on this first episode. There's a couple more movies coming out in the next few weeks that I'll be checking out. One that I'm really excited for is The Smashing Machine with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We were going back and forth, me and Adrian, on our other podcast on Only Comics, about who is the better wrestler turned actor out of Dwayne Johnson and John Cena. And I was saying John Cena for a while, but based on what I've seen early on with these previews and some of the scenes from this next movie, The Smashing Machine, I'm anxious to see if The Rock is going to get me to change my stance a little bit. That's one thing too you will learn about me is my heels aren't that dug in on everything. I'm going to give you my take, my stance, but I reserve the right to change my mind at a future date and time, as my friend Adrian has taught me. So there's that. The Black Phone 2 drops in a couple weeks. And I got some other stuff planned here for today. So, but let's hop right into it. Let's get into the whole moon deal. So, NASA, they dropped this big announcement. They said we're finally going back to the moon. The way they worded it, though, is it sounded like they said we were going for the first time, which is not the case. Well, depending on what you believe, but they didn't specifically say that. They said I think they're going to the southern pole of the moon for it the first time. Now, y'all know that if you check out other stuff, you know we like to put our tinfoil hats on. You know we like to dig into conspiracy stuff. And the moon landing is one of those that there's a lot of weird shit with the moon landing. Specifically, if we went to the moon, if we landed on the moon 50 years ago, why the fuck haven't we been back yet? Also, how do you lose the footage of the moon landing? That's another thing is the footage we have supposedly is not the original footage. It's been, I don't know, altered, compressed, whatever the fuck, but it's how do you lose footage to something that important? Who the fuck knows? So I'm curious if you guys have not expressed this opinion to me before. Do y'all believe we've actually been to the moon? I'm probably 60-40. I'm 60, we haven't, 40% we have. I'm unsure. There's a lot of things that, say we have, like some grainy old footage. There's a lot of things that don't. I know the flag is a big thing that a lot of people point out. Like, there's some ripples in the flag, the US flag that's on the moon. How are there ripples if there's no atmosphere, no wind on the moon? There is a little kind of pole that sticks out to stabilize the flag. So, I mean, I've heard both sides of this. I don't know if the flag alone is enough evidence to say we haven't been. The other big conspiracy or big fact, as people say, is there's no stars. Meaning, we've taken pictures on the moon. There's footage on the moon. There's no atmosphere on the moon. So you should be able to see a hell of a lot more stars than we see here on Earth. Where the fuck are the stars in the picture? Now, I'm no photographer, but supposedly the camera exposure settings, the camera were not set to capture the stars is the explanation. There's some weird lighting shit too, like shadows going in different directions, and people say those are studio lights. Scientists say, well, it's uneven terrain, so that's what's causing the discrepancy or the inconsistency in shadows. The one that always blows my mind is President Nixon calling the moon on a landline phone. Like, dude, it's 2025 and it's hard to get certain. Matter of fact, in this room I'm sitting in right now, it's hard to get service on a cell phone, let alone 50 years ago, 1969. The president called the moon on a landline. Now, technically, they say it was routed through Houston, through space comms. But, dude, I got to imagine if you're calling Houston and Houston's calling the moon, there's probably going to be a slight delay. It's not going to be like me and you getting on a cell phone call where we both have good service. So why haven't we been back? Money, politics is what a lot of people say. Vietnam drained a lot of resources, Cold War, all that. I mean, we know how much money we spend on war, or maybe we don't know, but we spend a shit ton. NASA kind of shifted to shuttles and the International Space Station. But my thing is, if it was so easy, if we had the technology then, think about the difference in tech. Back then, we had rotary dial telephones. It may have been the era of you still calling an operator. I don't fucking know. It was before I was born. But today, in my pocket, I have more technology than most people had in their house at that time. Like, I mean, your cell phone. So if technology has advanced that far, you mean to tell me that we had the technology to get to the moon in the 60s, but we don't have it now? That just sounds odd. But let's talk about what's going to happen. So Artemis, they're calling it Artemis 2. There's actually two missions here. Number one, Artemis 2 is scheduled to go out to the moon February, I believe, of 2026. It's not going to land, though. So humans will be in this spaceship going around the moon. They're not going to land. It's going to check it out. And then Artemis 3 is going to go to the moon supposedly by 2027. And we're going to put boots on the surface of the moon for maybe the first time, maybe the second time, depending on what you believe. So, I mean, are we going back to are we back for the first time like the Ludacris album? Who knows? I mean, I'm not saying the Apollo landing was 100% fake. All I'm saying is the missing tapes, the weird footage, and a lot of these contradictions, they leave some room for doubt. Let's put it that way. But hey, if we're going back again or back for the first time, this is our chance to prove that, we can do it. Because some of us still don't even believe that it's ever happened. So there's that. Speaking of technology, AI is everywhere. I'll be straight up with you. Putting this podcast together today, I was using some AI. I'm not afraid of AI. I think it's a tool. I don't believe that it's evil. People, they should take everybody's jobs. AI's going to take your job. I mean, I hope not. Can AI podcast? Possibly down the road. And it kind of leads right into this next piece of news. Tilly Norwood. Do any of y'all know who Tilly Norwood is? Tilly Norwood is an AI actress. Yep. She's not getting gigs yet. People are mad, though. People are upset about this. Should they be? I don't know. I did a deep dive. And the thing, one thing you'll learn about this channel, the Only brand, Only Entertainment. I'm toying around with the name, but this is Only Entertainment. Remember that, too. This is Only Entertainment. You should definitely fact check every motherfucking thing I say here today, because I could be completely full of shit and just saying this to entertain myself. But I did a deep dive, and what I like to do is really dig into any subject before I give my take, unlike most people on the internet. There is an AI-generated actress created by this company. They're a division of Particle 6, Exacoia or something.
Well, let's see how we say that.
Maybe that's how you say it. It's Xicioia. A division of Particle 6. Her only credited performance is in this AI-generated, I hate to even use this word to describe it, comedy sketch. It's called AI Commissioner. If you got 2 minutes to spare, you're on the shitter and you can't think of something else to watch, maybe check it out. It's on YouTube. Reason why I struggle to call it a comedy sketch is it's not fucking funny. But I guess to all you comedians out there, if this is where the AI comedy is right now, you ain't got shit to worry about for a while. Agencies, though, might actually consider representing her, which is odd. So I thought about, digging into this and seeing, like, how plausible is that? Will we see a day where there's AI actors or actresses in movies? And the answer is probably. The funny thing is, about 2 years ago, there was the whole strike, the writer's strike, the SAG-AFTRA. This is the Screen Actors Guild and blah, blah. But basically, in a nutshell, it is like a union for Hollywood. Imagine, to you NFL fans out there, the NFL Players Association, that's what this is, but for actors, voice actors, stunt people. They negotiate the wages, healthcare, and after last, or 2 years ago, the strike, they drew a hard line on AI, and that's what a lot of the strike was about. So let's talk about what Hollywood can and cannot do with AI right now. So the deal that came out of this set some rules. Number one, if a studio uses a digital replica of a real actor, they need that actor's consent, and they still got to pay them. So you say, you know what, Robert Downey Jr., You look too old to play Tony Stark, but we want you to play Tony Stark. We want to use an AI version of you. Do you consent? He says no, you can't do it. He says yes, you can do it, but you got to pay him. So that's not what this Tilly Norwood actress is. This is what they call a synthetic performer. You got a fucking term for it already. If they use a synthetic performer like Tilly, they have to disclose it to the SAG. I'm not going to do the whole acronym, but you know who I'm talking about. They also have to negotiate compensations into union funds. So my question was, well, if they're paying the union, how does that help the actors and actresses? But there are a lot of things wrapped up in this union that they take care of: health care, other benefits. So in some way, shape, or form, the compensation will kind of go back to the actors, actresses, but it's still, so it's not necessarily taking a job, but it kind of is. So if they do that, they use a synthetic actor, synthetic performer. They have to disclose it, and they have to negotiate compensation into the union funds. So they just can't start firing actors and replacing them with digital actors. So here's how it breaks down. Netflix, for example, they can create a fully synthetic AI character in a show, but they got to bargain with the union. Marvel, again, could bring back Iron Man digitally only if RDJ signs off and gets paid. They can run, and as far as ads work, so let's say Coca-Cola, say they want to run an ad with Tilly Norwood, they still have to pay the SAG union fees like they would if they hired a human model. So there's some protections in there, but here's the thing. There's not a flat out, no, you can't do that. So what you will learn too about me is a lot of my views are very nuanced. I'm not a black or white guy. I don't think that everything is yes or no. I think there's a lot of gray area in life in general and in decisions, and which I'll talk definitely more about with the Bad Bunny stuff, with even this movie, One Battle After Another. My views on a lot of things are very nuanced. So AI actresses, here's where I land. I do not like the idea of synthetic performers. I think it's bullshit. I really do. I don't think there's a place for that, because then where does that end? Do you then start creating your own podcasters and influencers that are AI? And then do you have to disclose that information? Imagine a channel. I mean, we just saw what happened with Charlie Kirk and how much influence, however you feel about his takes, you can't argue the fact that that dude had influence. What about when companies create an influencer to spread propaganda, maybe a synthetic influencer, and we don't know if it's fucking real or not? I mean, check out that AI commissioner video. It's you can, it's hard to say you can tell because you know going into it, but I'd be willing to bet a lot of people that didn't know it was AI going into it wouldn't have known it was AI. Now in this video, there's a few seconds in the beginning, there's text that comes up that says this is all AI. But if that wasn't there, how easily are people tricked, confused? So I don't like that at all. I mean, Hollywood already, depending on your views, treats real talent like they're disposable. So adding in fake talent, I think is just makes that whole thing a lot worse. But I do see some. I think in some areas it can be advantageous, like that whole Marvel. Let's say Robert Downey Jr. Now, I agree, you have to have the actor's permission. Say Robert Downey Jr. signs off on, you can use my likeness, you can have an AI performer of me, and you can use it in this way and this way only. And then there's a Tony Stark cameo in an Avengers movie 20 years from now. I'm cool with that if he okayed it. I mean, we've seen others, we've seen CGI, so it's almost like, is this just the next step in CGI? We've seen a Christopher Reeves CGI in that shitty Flash movie, and we've seen some of this in Star Wars movies where, and it's very controversial. There's, families of the individual sometimes don't agree with the use, but I like this idea of consent from the actor. I consent that you can create an AI version of me and use in this way, that way, this way, but not that way. Sure. I think there is an opportunity there if done right. Now, do I think we should have a synthetic, an AI Robert Downey Jr. starring in movies? Probably not. But for a one-off, for a legacy type appearance, I'm not mad at that. So y'all let me know how you feel about that AI performers in general, legacy, or is it fair game? Is it fuck it? If a studio creates this AI synthetic performer, shit, cast him in a movie. I think that's a little too much. I do. So moving on, next piece. We get into the Bad Bunny stuff, but first I want to answer a question. So my boy, that dude Pablo, shout out that dude Pablo. He asked a question last week. We were talking. So on other stuff, we talk about all kinds of shit. It's a little bit of comics and a bunch of other stuff. There's tinfoil talk, as we call it. We dig into conspiracies. That is behind a paywall. That is a $4.99 monthly subscription. And you get that extra podcast once a week. It's anywhere from 45 minutes to even an hour and a half at times. We're a little more off the cuff there. But one of the things we were talking about actually on the live, every Friday I go live on TikTok and 7 p.m. Eastern. We were talking about hip hop. I'm a big hip hop fan. I grew up on hip hop. It is my number one. Hip hop to me is more than a genre. It is a culture. And I do I do have a lot of love for the culture. And one of the biggest questions among hip hop fans is, who's your top five? We always like to rank stuff. People give me shit sometimes. Why are you comparing this movie, that? Because I fucking like to rank shit and compare stuff. I always do. So that being said, that dude Pablo asked me, the real question is, Mike, who is your top five? I don't care about albums or songs. I'm talking artists. Obviously, I know this can change even weekly for a hip hop head. Yes. But right now, what's the top five? And then that dude Pablo gets his top five. So he says Nas, Eminem, Mos Def, Kendrick, and Diddy. No, he did say that, but he was fucking with me. He said, I'm just playing J. Cole. All right, so top five. Top five is hard, man. It is hard. I actually have 10 here. So I'm going to give you all 10. I did double duty, Pablo. So number 10 is the man himself, Kanye West. He breaks my top 10. Now, these are my personal favorites. I'm not going, he's the greatest lyricist. No, these are my favorites, favorite artists. And I look at favorite artists, I got to look at a few things. Can they make a quality album? Do they have more than one quality album? Can they actually rap? Are they just like, pop artist? And how long have they been doing this? Do they have, do they got me coming back and hoping for more material? Or is it a one-off where I'm like, dude, that shit was cool, but I don't want to hear anymore? So Kanye West. Number 9 is Kid Cudi. Number 8 is Lil Wayne. Number 7 is DMX. Number 6 is Eminem. So those did not make my top 5. So I guess that would be my honorable mention. Here's my top 5. In this list, I mean, I'll give you the order, but it can really be in any order, honestly. Number 5 is Kendrick Lamar. I'm a huge Kendrick fan. And even more, I think, with this last album, the Superbowl performance, and just the whole Drake battle has moved him up dramatically for me. Tupac, I'm a big, big Tupac fan. He's one of my all-time favorites. And then I would say these next two, really these three, Tupac, Nas, and Jay-Z, I move those around all the time. And then my number one, my favorite artist of all time right now, hip-hop, is J. Cole. I think the older I get, the more I connect with his music. I mean, we are about the same age. And just like him and Kendrick, the shit they talk about, where I grew up, a lot of it it sounds like we had the same upbringing to an extent. So that's my top 5 list, or my top 10. So anyways, drop yours in the comments. I'm always interested. And that's one thing too about me is I try to be as interactive as I can with anybody who follows, comments, because a lot of people say that on the live, I can't believe you interacted. Like, dude, I don't look, just because I'm the one on this side of the camera, I don't look at me as being above anyone. I don't have this podcast, this channel without you guys and vice versa. So I have a lot of fun. I really do enjoy a lot of the interactions with people. You get some crazy people here and there. I have fun with that too. So I definitely, I say that to say I read every comment. I respond to most of them, even on the show. So as the show gets going, we'll definitely have a set of a we respond. It will be a I respond. So, anyways, the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show. All right, so Bad Bunny. And if y'all know me, I've said it here and there. I am a big Bad Bunny fan. Um, Bad Bunny has been named the Super Bowl halftime performer for next year's Super Bowl. Is it 55, 60? I don't know the fucking Roman. It's LX, whatever the fuck that is. It's huge. He is one of the world's most streamed artists. And he doesn't sing in English pretty much at all. So let's talk about some of his numbers here. On Spotify, Bad Bunny ranks number 2 all time by lead artist streams. I don't know what number 1 is, probably someone like Taylor Swift or some shit like that. As of recent, he's amassed a total of 94.5 billion streams just on Spotify. In 2022, he generated over 18.5 billion streams globally, 3 years in a row at the top of Spotify's charts. He did lose that to Taylor Swift, I think, last year. And in US streaming, too, that's the thing is, and why is it such a big deal? Because of a lot of the backlash that he's gotten online. And you see a lot of fucking ignorant shit, to be honest. So, US charts. The guy doesn't speak English, but he's always one of the top artists in the US. I shouldn't say it. He does speak English. He doesn't sing or rap in English. It's predominantly in Spanish. A lot of his popular tracks have crossed 1 billion streams just alone. On Song Stats, I don't know what Song Stats is. It's some website that I guess aggregates all these stream totals. Across all platforms, his streams are close to the 200 billion mark. So, regardless of what language he speaks, where he's from, he's a global phenomenon. He is right now one of the top probably 2-3 artists in the entire fucking world. All right, so here's some of the stupid things that I've read online about Bad Bunny. Here's one. I thought he didn't tour in the US because of ICE. Why is he going to do this? Okay. Dumbass. This is not a tour. This is a Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl once a year NFL show. The artist doesn't make any money from the NFL for doing this. Matter of fact, they get a small budget for the show, and a lot of them go into their own pockets to do things like the stage design, the set, whatever. A lot of that comes out of their pockets because the budget they're given is usually not enough. But it's a great opportunity for an artist to increase their popularity. And every artist lately, since streaming has become a thing, when they do the halftime show, their streams go up through the fucking roof. I mean, dude, everybody was playing Usher when Usher did it a few years ago. I'm like, I had questions about that. Like, why the hell we got Usher? I mean, is he really doing anything now? But anyways, the whole he doesn't tour the US because of ICE, I think that's a valid concern on his part. His audience is predominantly Hispanic. And however you feel about, and that's another thing, you talk about immigration and politics. My views there are very nuanced as well. I don't think it should be a flat out just deport everybody who, is working a full-time job and showing up to Home Depot and doing crazy shit. I also don't think the borders should be wide open and let everybody in, but I don't know that this cleanup that they're doing now is the best way. It's definitely inhumane, tearing apart families and shit like that. So I actually respect his decision to not tour because the fear that ICE would be waiting outside of his concerts to snatch people up. I understand that concern. It's a valid concern. Now, here's my favorite one. Why not pick someone from the US? Whew. Now, obviously, the people, and I could just picture them saying, "Hey, why don't they pick someone from the U.S.? Like, you three-tooth cousin fucking have an ass. Puerto Rico, not Puerto Rico like they say. Puerto Rico is part of the U.S., dumbass. It's a U.S. territory. There's a lot of fuckery in that too, by the way. People born in Puerto Rico are U.S. citizens, okay? Here's the kicker, though. They can hold a passport. They can work, pay taxes, but they cannot vote in U.S. presidential elections while living in Puerto Rico. To vote for president, you must live in one of the continental United States, okay? They also have a non-voting delegate in Congress. So they have a delegate in Congress that can't have a vote either, okay? On federal issues, Puerto Rico often has ambiguous powers. Congress controls many of its laws. So it's when people say he's not from the US, there's no nice way to put this. You're just a fucking moron. Let's talk a little bit about Puerto Rico in general and how it even became a US territory. So this goes back to something that I had brought up on other stuff a while back. The media and how they control the world, pretty much. This goes back to the Spanish-American War. In the late 1800s, the U.S. press was dominated by two rival newspaper giants, William Randolph Hearst, he ran the New York Journal, and Joseph Pulitzer, the New York World. There was basically a circulation war. The same way we fight for clicks today on YouTube, they were doing the same shit. And back then, believe it or not, I mean, it was 1800s, so shit wasn't regulated the way it is now. They ran some crazy, exaggerated stories, what we now call yellow journalism. There were headlines about Cuba and Spain. They were designed to make Americans emotional about this, not just informed. They literally swayed the story that they were being told. Stories about Spanish troops abusing Cubans when wasn't a whole lot of evidence there. February of 1898, the U.S. battleship Maine exploded in the Havana harbor, killed 266 soldiers. The cause at the time wasn't clear. Now most people believe it was an accident. But Hearst and Pulitzer started printing headlines blaming Spain. One of the headlines was, "Remember the Maine, to hell with Spain." Okay. Everyone's angry, pissed off, all this shit. It gave politicians what they needed to declare war. Now, if you pay attention to any of the shit going on right now, overseas, Middle East, Gaza Strip, this sounds oddly familiar, where the headlines don't usually add up with what's happening. What we're being told, what we're being shown, a lot of times is swayed depending on who's controlling your algorithm. I know this for a fact. Me and my wife just went on a cruise to Bermuda a few weeks ago, and while I was there, I was getting a lot of pro-Palestine videos on my TikTok, and literally the minute I shit you not, as older white people say, the minute I got back into the United States, I started getting a lot of pro-Israel stuff. So I don't know. Hearst, he supposedly told his illustrator in Cuba, "If you furnish the pictures, I will furnish the war." So the media definitely fed into that. And then what happened? There was a war. The war lasted about 4 months. U.S. crushed Spain. And in that, Spain gave Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines to the U.S. Cuba gained independence, but under the U.S. influence at that time. So the Spanish-American War was basically the first kind of clickbait war. Hearst and Pulitzer were out here running 1890s Twitter threads, if you will, exaggerating atrocities, hyping up the Cuban struggle. When the USS Maine exploded, they blamed Spain with no proof. Shit that happens nowadays. Thankfully, now there's things built into a lot of social media sites like fact checking. They didn't have this back then when you're just, buying fucking newspapers. So during that time, America grabbed up Puerto Rico. If you're mad about Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl, you can blame William Randolph Hearst if you really are looking for someone to blame. Or you could do what I like to say is shut what we call the fuck up. So they're the reason why the U.S. is why Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory in the first place. So let's dig into the halftime show in general. So the whole pick someone from the U.S. I'm gonna go down a list. Actually, before I do that, because Bad Bunny is from the U.S., the halftime show wasn't even a big deal until the 90s. Before the 90s, most of the halftime shows were like marching bands, drill teams, a lot of bullshit. The NFL didn't think of the halftime show as something that would generate ratings. They looked at it as just filler. And then in 1992, there was they started to realize that other networks, well, in the late 80s, early 90s, other networks were basically countering programming at halftime with their own big entertainment. In Living Color, if y'all remember In Living Color, 1992, during the Super Bowl halftime, this was Fox's hit sketch comedy show at the time. They ran a live special timed directly against halftime. Millions of viewers changed the channel to watch it. NBC, that's where the game was at that time, they were embarrassed. Their halftime ratings tanked. So what'd they do? The very next year, they went big. And this is why, if you pay attention to this history, you'll realize why they picked Bad Bunny for the halftime show. Michael Jackson did the first halftime show music performance that wasn't just some bullshit marching. No offense to anyone in a marching band, but I mean, Michael Jackson performance, you're a little marching band. Sorry. They called in MJ. They called in Michael Jackson to save the halftime show, and he was the one who transformed the halftime show into this spectacle that we see here today. Ratings jumped so high that NFL made big star headliners the norm after that. Okay. That was 93. I wanted to go through the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s and let you know everybody who's performed that was not a U.S. citizen that you motherfuckers had no issue with. So, 1995, Arturo Sandoval from Cuba. 2000, Phil Collins from UK, by the way. Enrique Iglesias from Spain that year. In 2002, U2 performed. They're from Ireland, which is not in the U.S., in case you're fucking confused. 2003, Shania Twain. She's from Canada. I know we're connected, United States and Canada. We're all in North America, but that is another country. She's not from the U.S. Sting also performed in 2003. He was from the U.K. 2005, good old Paul McCartney, U.K. 2006, the Rolling Stones. You know where they're from? U.K. Let's move on. 2010, The Who, U.K. 2012, MIA. She's from the UK/Sri Lanka. Nicki Minaj. She was born in Trinidad, by the way. She wasn't born here in the US. She's probably a citizen now, so I don't. Coldplay in 2016, UK. Mark Ronson was a guest. He's also from the UK. Gustavo Dudamel, maybe that's how you say it, Venezuela. 2020, Shakira. Remember when she performed with J-Lo and everyone had a meltdown? Oh my God, I can't believe they're shaking their ass at the show. Oh my God. Well, Shakira was from Colombia and her guest, J Balvin, was from Colombia as well. 2021, The Weeknd. Everybody loves The Weeknd, right? He's from Canada, not part of the US. And then 2023, a couple years back, Rihanna, who is from Barbados. So when they say get someone from the US, Bad Bunny's from the US, and why didn't any of you three-tooth cousin fucking ass motherfuckers say that when all these UK artists performed? I don't know. What's the difference between UK and Puerto Rico? I don't know. And then people go, well, they should get someone that speaks an American language like English. Hey, dumbass. English came from England, you fucktards. There's people that left England because they didn't like living in England. They came here They kicked out all the Native Americans. They killed them. They slaughtered them. They did some shit. Believe it or not, the Native Americans didn't just like go, "Oh, you guys came over from England. Would you like to have our land and kill us all?" No, it was taken by force. But God forbid we go down the real history path. But that's another story. So here's where I land on this. Bad Bunny at Super Bowl. I think it is amazing. I think it's a powerful statement. I think it also shouldn't be by surprise based on where the Super Bowl halftime show even started. Michael Jackson, who was arguably, I mean, he was the king of pop for a very long time. And Bad Bunny with his streaming records and just how his insane popularity for someone who English is his second language, but dominated the American charts. I mean, I think it's well warranted. I was a huge fan of last year's Super Bowl show, Kendrick Lamar, and he doesn't need to perform in English to be American. That's ridiculous. So I'm a big fan of it. I can't wait to see the show. Here's the other thing. How many times, and it's one group of people that kind of have this statement, this whole, why they get him? They should get some country guy. Haven't y'all boycotted the NFL like 20 times in the last 5 years? I mean, it started with the Colin Kaepernick stuff. A lot of people were mad when they put end racism in the end zone. Like, y'all that don't watch, allegedly, I'm done with the NFL, but you're mad about who's performing on the halftime show? You know what you should do? Collectively, y'all should all get together and shut what we call the fuck up. All right, moving on. I think what I'm gonna do is a little thumbs up, thumbs down. I do this on Only Comics with me and Adrian, so I'm just gonna do this here with me, by myself. So, recapping the news. The U.S. or NASA is going back to the moon, maybe for the first time. I give this a thumbs up because I don't think that they can, if they faked it back in the 60s, I don't think they can fake it now. I think we'd be able to tell, so I give that a thumbs up. Next up, Tilly Norwood. She is an AI actress. It sounds like technically she could be casted in some movies. She hasn't been yet. I'm going to give that a thumbs down. I'm a big fan of AI used properly, but I don't think we need to go creating AI actors or actresses to take roles. Now, the company behind this says it's just a form of art, but there is no rule right now against an AI actor, actress being in a movie. So I am definitely against that. Bad Bunny being announced to perform at next year's Super Bowl. I give this 2 thumbs up. I think it's amazing. I think it's great. To anybody saying they should get somebody from America, you're just fucking stupid, and it just shows how ignorant most of the population is. I literally can't believe some of the things I've read. You could say, hey, I don't like his music. That's fine. That's your own your own prerogative. But to use the whole, he's not from America, when I know it's crazy to think that people who speak Spanish are American citizens. I know for some of y'all, it's really hard to fucking understand, but Puerto Rico, not Puerto Rico, like y'all say, is a U.S. territory and has been since 17. So, hey, get off of TikTok, go do some fucking research. Speaking of AI, why don't you use AI to educate yourself instead of just educating each other, because none of y'all know a goddamn thing. Also, haven't y'all all boycotted the NFL tons of times? Why do you care about who's performing if you boycotted it? Anyways, all right, getting towards the tail end of this show. It's been fun so far. I hope y'all are having fun. If you haven't already, subscribe, drop me a comment. Let me know what you like, what you don't. I'm also known as the Yapper, so this is probably perfect for me, a yapathon by myself. All right, video games. I am a gamer. I know a lot of you that subscribe to the channel are. I saw a post on Twitter, or X as they call it, with the most anticipated video games of 2026. So there were 9 video games on this post. So I wanted to rank mine. Let me give you all 9 here real quick. We have Grand Theft Auto 6. We have 1943, The Rise of Hydra, a Marvel game featuring Black Panther, not T'Challa, one of his ancestors, and Steve Rogers, Captain America. Star Wars Zero Company, Resident Evil Requiem. I probably said that wrong. First Light 007, Invincible Versus, Fable, Lego, Batman. I can't read Legend of the. I know what they're talking about, but I can't remember the fucking name. And then Marvel's Wolverine. So let me rank these by anticipation for me. My number one on this list, my number one most anticipated game of 2026 is Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, this game is like, I want to say 5 came out in maybe 2013. GTA 5 is a game that I think lived on 3 different generations of consoles. It started on the Xbox 360, PS3. There's a PS4 remaster. There's PS5 remaster. So it is insane that this game has taken this long. If you've seen any of the trailers, the gameplay, it looks ridiculous. So that, of all these games, that is my number one most anticipated, even though I'm a diehard comic fan, Batman fan, the whole deal. But I grew up on these games. I remember playing the old top-down GTA 1 and 2, and then GTA 3 was the first 3D game. Vice City was probably my favorite from that era. I mean, but it's hard to top GTA 5. It was phenomenal, and I can't wait to play the GTA 6 is going back to Vice City. So I'm thinking this game it's going to be a whole new era of gaming, in my opinion. So that's my number one. My second most anticipated on this list is another game that's been in the works for a while. Wolverine, Marvel's Wolverine by Insomniac Games. I love all of the Spider-Man games. I'm a big fan of the Arkham games as well. So, and they're very similar in game style. I saw the recent trailer of this game. It's bloody, it's graphic, it's adult. I can't fucking wait. My next on this list is probably going back and forth between the Batman and now I'm going to say 1943 Rise of Hydra. It's unique. It's a different game. You get to control, I think, 3 different characters, the Black Panther, Captain America, and then I believe, I don't know if it's a Wakandan soldier or a soldier of Hydra maybe, but this cutscenes in this look phenomenal. Looks like a pretty cool, and it's unique. It's something different. Next would be the Lego Batman game. I saw some gameplay of this. It looks phenomenal. It looks like a Lego game, but it does not look like the gameplay of a Lego game. It resembles the Arkham style, to be honest. Then after that, I'll be honest with you, I am not looking forward to any of these fucking games. Resident Evil, I played a few I'm not crazy about. Invincible Versus, I mean, only kind of fighting games I'm looking for is a solid Mortal Kombat or maybe Street Fighter. Star Wars Zero Company, I have no interest in this. 007 First Light looks cool. I probably would never play it, but it does look like a pretty good game, and I don't even know what Fable is. So another thing you'll learn about me is if I don't know something, I don't pretend. I just go, I don't know. People ask me, have you seen this movie? If I haven't seen it, I don't do what a lot of other podcasters or influencers do where they make they give their take based off of shit they've read on the internet. If I haven't seen it, I go, I haven't fucking seen it. So, all right. One battle after another. This movie was hyped up. So what I'm going to do, this part right here is going to be spoiler free. And then I will tell you when the spoilers start and you can just skip to the next chapter if you don't want anything to be spoiled. So I have a love-hate relationship with Rotten Tomatoes. That's probably an understatement. I think the way they source their reviews is fucking stupid. But it's one of those things. They're a necessary evil. They are the most well-known, I think, review spot. They're quoted in a lot of movies marketing. Rotten Tomatoes gave it this, but they are the equivalent. When I was a kid, it was Siskel and Ebert. Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up. One of them, I think Siskel died, and now maybe it's Roper and Ebert still, or I don't know, but they're movie critics. Also, like, what makes you a movie critic? How does one and that's another thing where I struggle with. What gives you the right to be considered a movie critic versus me, someone who's a fan? And that's a whole nother story. But Rotten Tomatoes is what we have. We have a segment on Only Comics called What the Fuck Rotten Tomatoes. And that is where we look at movies that have a disparity between the critic score and the audience score. So if you don't know how these scores are put together, the critic score, Rotten Tomatoes has a team of, I guess, sourcers, not sorcerers, they go out and they source reviews. So a new movie comes out. This score here I'm going to give you for One Battle After Another is based on 326 reviews. This guy's like the collector. He collects all the reviews. And based on how many of those reviews were positive, and I don't know where that line is, but the Rotten Tomatoes critic score is representation of what percentage of the reviews collected for that movie were positive. So maybe you understood that, maybe you didn't. The critic score for One Battle After Another was 96%. What that means is, let's use easy math. If they collected 100 reviews, 96 of those reviews were positive reviews, only 4 were negative, which gives it a 96%. The popcorn meter is something a little different. So that's called the tomato meter. The popcorn meter is the audience score. These are verified ratings. You have to show proof that you watched the movie, that you bought a ticket to the movie, and then you go on and rate the review, and I believe it's done the same way. So first, what we're going to do is critics versus audience. Critics gave this movie, One Battle After Another, a 96%. The audience gave it an 85%. So the way this game works is I'm going to tell you which one I think is closer to the real score, and I'm going to go with the audience, an 85%. We have another game here called Is That Glaze? And I am going to say that based on what I've heard about this movie, I did see it yesterday. What I've heard about it, including this critic score here of 96, everyone is glazing the fuck out of this movie. Now, if you don't know the terms, glaze is like unwarranted praise, like a little extreme, like slow the fuck down, stop gassing. Do I think 96% for this movie? Do I think all the things people were saying about it? Is that glaze? Yes, it is. It is glaze. I'm going to give you ups and downs. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ups and 3 downs on this movie. And this ain't really spoiler territory. But if you want to check out now and skip to the next chapter, I wouldn't be mad at you. All right. So the ups, Leonardo motherfucking DiCaprio, his performance was a major up. Sean Penn's performance, major up. Benicio del Toro's performance, major up. These 3 in very different roles. Leo he's got to be, one of these days I'll rank my top actors of all time, and he's probably, I would assume he's in the top 5. He is phenomenal. He plays the role of an ex-militant, an ex-rebel turned into a dad who is paranoid as fuck because of everything he's done in the past, and single dad, by the way, raising a biracial kid. It's just a lot that I liked about this movie. So that's one. Leo, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro. Sean Penn played a military, I guess he was a sergeant towards the end, and dealing with immigration at the border and insane. Sean Penn did a great job of playing that complete fucking asshole, and Benicio del Toro he's amazing. So that's my first up. Second up is the social commentary about immigration and the government. And I said this word a lot here today, nuance. It showed how nuanced this problem is, and all different elements to it. My third up is the score. It's a phenomenal score. Not the Rotten Tomatoes score, like the musical score. I will also over-explain things just to make sure you get it. It's phenomenal. It keeps you intrigued at all the right moments, and there's times where I feel like you can feel Bob's paranoia in this movie. Bob's Leo's character, Bob. Like it was great. I don't know who did it, but whoever did it did a fucking phenomenal job. The action's another up. It wasn't over the top, wasn't no Michael Bay action, but it was done right. It was done at the right times, and I think that was an up. another up, the range of emotions, the humor hit at the right time. The movie had a lot of heart. It was through all this, it was amazing that they were able to tell all these stories and all these plot lines kind of weaving in and out and get these messages across where it didn't, the social commentary didn't feel forced. I think it did a good job of showing you all sides of it without feeling like it was preachy from one way or the other. I did like that. Again, the humor, you would think a movie like this didn't have any humor. It had some, but it made sense. It wasn't over the top, and the movie did have a lot of heart. The last up is the pacing. This was a 3 hour movie, and outside of some stuff in the beginning, which I'll get into with the downs, it was paced very well. It kept me on the edge of my seat, wanting to know what happened next. And I'm one of those, now that I'm almost 40, dude, if I'm in the movie theater and I get bored, my ass will be snoozing Susan in that bitch. So this movie kept me awake the whole fucking time I was on the edge of my seat. It's a completely different movie, so don't get fucked up with this comparison. It reminded me of watching the Batman, Matt Reeves' Batman, which was also a 3 hour movie that didn't feel 3 hours because of the pacing. It was so good that it kept you interested the entire time, which I think is hard to do in any movie, especially a 3 hour movie. Now, the downs. I know I'm saying the pacing, I'm saying it's 3 hours. There was some unnecessary backstory in the beginning of this movie. This may be just a me thing. I don't like when we over explain in movies for character. For example, I was a big Star Wars guy growing up, kid, and I loved Han Solo, but I hated the movie Solo. Not because it wasn't a bad movie per se. I just didn't need to know Han Solo's origin. What made that character so awesome was the fact that he had this mystique about him. We didn't need to know everything about the character. That mystique was kind of is what kept you intrigued, at least for me. So I think there was a lot of I think the backstory could have been condensed down, could have been cut in half. Tiana Taylor, she plays the mom, and I hate to even say this about anyone's acting because I'm not an actor, but I was. Her acting it's okay. I wouldn't. It's not the worst. I saw her in the movie Straw as well with Tajiri Henson, and it that movie, this Tyler Perry movie, it's okay. It's not amazing, but why I bring that up is Tajiri Henson's a phenomenal actress. Everybody else in that movie, for the most part, was pretty bad, and Tiana Taylor is kind of in the middle. But when you have someone who is kind of mid, sharing scenes with Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn, for me at least, it stood out. Wasn't horrible. Some scenes it was unnoticed. Other scenes that her acting seemed a little forced. Wasn't a fan of that. And this last one is going to spoil a lot, so skip this if you haven't seen it. The weird characterization of the mom, meaning, so backstory, beginning of the movie, Leo, Tiana Taylor's character, they're part of this group, the what is it, the French, something, the first 75 or something. It's a militant extreme left group. I mean, they go into places and they break in and they let immigrants free and things like that. So anyways, they do a lot of crazy shit. And then Tiana gets pregnant, and Leo's character's Bob's like, we want to raise this kid. We're going to stop doing what we're doing. Tiana can't leave the life alone. She keeps going out while Leo's home with the baby. There's also this whole relationship type thing with Sean Penn's character. Sergeant Lockjaw is his name. And he catches her planting a bomb, but then lets her go in lieu of some sexual favors, let's just say. Long story short, there's a botched bank robbery. Tiana Taylor's character and her whole crew, minus Leo, he's back at home with the baby. They get caught. She shoots somebody. And then eventually she rats on everybody. She gives everybody but Leo. She rats on them. A bunch of people end up dead because of her. So why I say, and I'm not going to go through everything, but at the end of the movie, there's a note that Leo gives to his daughter because his daughter, for a long time, believed that her mom was a hero and was killed. And then through a lot of the events in the movie, she learns that her mom was a rat. But this letter is like one of those, Now, mind you, the Tiana Taylor's character left when the baby was like a newborn, so she didn't really know her. But it was one of those, long lost parent letters where, it's not a day goes by, I don't think about you, all this shit. And they framed her as almost like a good person. And I just think this was weird writing because, first of all, she was a fucking rat. She did all the dirt. She did her shit with this crew. She left her baby with the dad because she wanted to keep going out and doing her fucking thing. I mean, she's going out being militant, but it's the equivalent to, fucking someone going out hoeing, I guess. She didn't take care of the kid. She got caught. Then she ratted on fucking everybody, caused this big, like, bullshit, which I think she was indirectly the cause of Leo and the daughter going on a run in the movie. So the fact that they try to give us that happy ending with the mom, that didn't hit for me. That was strange. I thought the mom was an asshole. So anyways, but do I recommend this movie? Absolutely. I'd give it my score, which is probably more accurate than any Rotten Tomato fucking score you're going to see. I would give this movie a solid 8. It was really good. If it's not a 10, I'm going to have to tell you what I didn't like. And those are a few things I didn't like about it. But, and the amount of glaze that was going on with this movie was insane. So I had to go check it out for myself. But I enjoyed it. Would I watch it again? Probably. Leo's performance was definitely probably one of the biggest highs of this movie, which was no shock and he's not done a lot of bad movies, but a lot of people were, it's probably one of his best performances. I'm like, did y'all forget about Wolf of Wall Street? Did y'all forget about Catch Me If You Can? Did y'all forget about even Shutter Island, Django? I mean, there's so many movie after movie, but another banger for Leo, another great performance and a pretty solid movie. It was cool too to go see something that was good that wasn't like, I'm a big comic book movie fan, but a lot of these directors blame comic book movies for why their shit doesn't do well. Well, if you make a good movie, people will go watch it and enjoy it. I don't think there's no type of movie fatigue. There's a bad movie fatigue. You make good shit, people will show up. All right. So what's next? Next week, The Smashing Machine. So this movie drops tomorrow, I believe. I know they say October 3rd, but Thursday is when they usually come out. This is one of the most talked about movies right now. Smashing Machine, it technically hits theaters October 3rd. To me, it's not just another sports drama movie. This is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He's playing one of MMA's most infamous fighters, Mark Kerr. Movie is actually based on a 2002 HBO documentary by the same name about Mark Kerr. He's a wrestler turned MMA fighter. He dominated the early days of the UFC and Japan's Pride Fighting Championships. This is when there was a lot less rules in MMA in general. Kerr was a beast. His nickname was the Smashing Machine. That's why the movie's named that. So he was a badass motherfucker. But like a lot of badass motherfuckers in sports behind the scenes, he was battling a painkiller addiction because of injuries. His personal life spiraling out of control. The documentary, I've not seen it, but it shows all this raw and unfiltered. And it kind of became legendary for a lot of MMA fans. But now, 20 years later, Benny Safdie, is that how you say it? Safdie. He's one of the brothers who worked on Uncut Gems, which is a really good movie with Adam Sandler. And he's the one directing that, bringing this to screen. This ain't your usual Rock role. It's not where he shows up as, Hobbs from Fast and Furious. He has completely transformed himself for this part. Put on about 30 pounds of muscle, I believe. He's used prosthetics. If you checked out the trailer, he doesn't really, you can tell it's The Rock, obviously, but he don't look or sound like The Rock. This is for the first time, I think, in his career where the performance is something that I think it's gonna define this at least part of The Rock's career, and I think we will see him get into a lot of other dramatic roles. Based on I could be glazing the fuck out of this and go, I could watch in a couple of days and think it's absolutely dog shit. But so far, so good. It's probably the most vulnerable we've seen him, according to a lot of reports. He ain't playing a superhero. He's playing a guy who's strong on the outside but broken on the inside. It's about addiction, failed relationships. Emily Blunt plays his partner, Dawn. Their dynamic, I guess, is a huge piece of the film. It's messy, volatile, but very real. So, if you're in, here's what to expect. First, gritty fight scenes. Second, domestic drama. And third, authenticity. So, Boss Rutten, Kerr's actual trainer and friend, he's in this movie. He plays himself, but the point is, why I say it is, they've got a lot of help from people that were actually. This isn't one of those biopics where it's one person's view of what happened and they're retelling the story to make themselves look good. This is supposedly the truth. It premiered in Venice, got a 15-minute standing ovation allegedly, and critics are saying that The Rock is delivering the most serious performance of his career. Side note, they say the fight scenes don't always match the sheer brutality of the real MMA footage, which, I mean, I get. It's kind of hard unless you're really punching someone in the fucking face. And at times, the drama leans heavy, so it ain't going to be no popcorn sports movie. The quote was, "It's closer to The Wrestler than Rocky. Think heavy, think tragic, think raw," which I don't know if y'all have seen that movie, The Wrestler, with Mickey Rourke. That is a phenomenal movie. Especially as someone who is a huge pro wrestling fan, I think that does a great job of bringing the realness of wrestling. So they're comparing this movie to that. I can't wait to see this. And so y'all let me know, are you planning on going to see this movie as well? I will be reviewing it next week, so hopefully you are. And then next week, we're going to talk about Halloween movies, horror movies. And I'm curious, there's a lot of people, y'all know Adrian loves some Christmas movies. Miracle on 31st Street was actually one of his favorite movies of all time. He's a big Christmas guy. I'm a big Christmas guy. But do y'all treat Halloween like Christmas in the sense of, are there movies you have to watch every Halloween season? If so, what are they? What are your must-see movies every Halloween? Like Christmas, I know that my wife's going to put on Home Alone at some point. I know we're going to watch Elf. We have to. I'm a big Bad Santa fan. I do believe, no one's going to tell me otherwise, that Batman Returns is a Christmas movie that has to go on at least once every Christmas season. So do you have Halloween go-tos? I'm going to talk about mine next week, and I'm going to give you my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. I am a big horror movie. As you can see, the Friday the 13th. I'm a big Jason Voorhees fan. So anyways, that is Mic Check. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I'm going to be coming at you every single hump day. So back to back to back, you will have something from the only brand. It's only entertainment. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully it's as much fun for you as it is for me. I appreciate y'all checking this out this week. Drop some comments, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next week on Mic Check. I'll also see a bunch of you guys on Friday on the TikTok Live. Hopefully you guys can check that out, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And you know where to find us. Only comics on Monday. Other stuff again on Tuesday. It'll be a busy fucking week here for us, but I have a lot of fun doing it, and I hope that you guys have a lot of fun watching.